Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 1286 to 1287 for the 1st to the 2nd of September. And ta-da! Yeah, so this is for the main channel. I'm thinking about putting this this video on the DPA War channel, but ta-da is finally here. Finally! Yeah, so very exciting. So anyway, so we get on to the frontline, the summary for the past 2 days. I wanted to do the SITREP yesterday, but I was like feeling depressed. It's weird because I feel depressed despite I got the super plug, but yeah. So the grind is eating into me. So anyway, yeah, I was busy thinking about what to do next. But anyway, which is why this video might be on the DPA War channel. So yeah, stupid algo. So we're gonna jump straight to the Sumi front. So at the Sumi front, we have some very interesting situation. So this is actually the wrong icon. There is a ground strike in the Chernihiv region. Yeah, hitting some MLRS allegedly in around this sector here. So yeah, it does still shows that the Russians still hit places where it's not the front line, and it looks like nowhere is safe as long as the Russians can discover you. And I wonder how much drones are flying in the Ukrainian airspace, to be able to discover this kind of MLRS. Over in the Sumy side of the non-frontline region, we have another Russian airstrike on Ukrainian position over at Krenidivka. This is super weird that they actually they are willing to launch an airstrike, do an air sortie, waste some bombs on this position. And that when these kind of things happen, sometimes I do wonder if we are going to see some kind of offensive happening in this sector here. We still have battles being reported over at Velika Berezka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Russians are still operating within this sector here. So it's very disturbing. I would say this is continuous, 31st to 1st of September. So this operation, yeah, but it's not reported on the 2nd. So it's really hard to tell at this moment what is the real situation on the ground. A lot of fog of war at this moment. We go on to the actual Sumy front. At the Sumy front, we have, so let me see. So this is the front line. Sumy is below, as you can see. So it's a pull up. So we have fighting reported over at Palivka, Stepney, Yastrubine, Konstantinivka, Kindrativka, Oleksievka, Vereshkine, Yunakivka, and towards Marine. And so that's the current situation over the past 2 days. So it's the 2 days report. So there's a few more arrows noted. So the operation. I'm not even sure if this is still an offensive anymore. But the battles between the two sides in the Sumy front continues. Like the fact that there is very little frontline actions, like in the sense that there's very little frontline changes in the Sumy front, means that there might be no offensive anymore. This could be just the grinding operation right now. This happened actually in the Kharkiv front as well. After the Russians established their desired buffer zone, they just stopped progressing, and there was a lot of battles along the Kharkiv front until it stopped having too much battles, where the Ukrainians realized the Russians are not going to push anyway. The Lisne is mentioned. So this is a bit of off the place, off the beaten path. So a bit weird, but yeah, some shelling reported there. So we go on to the Kharkiv front. This is Kharkiv city, or Kharkiv city, and over in the Kharkiv front, we have fighting reported at Udi. Very unusual. This is the odd one out. At Klipoke, Zelene, and Voshansk. So Voshansk is the one that will always have some battles happening, but the others are a bit more unusual. But so far, I think this is still just a ploy from the Russians to just stretch the Ukrainians logistic. Over in the Voshansk, we have a missile strike on Ukrainian position on this building. This put into question whether the Russians are still along this line. Could they have retreated further down to further away? Because a missile strike so close is rather scary. So we shall see how this goes. So that's all from the Kharkiv front. We move on to the Voronezh front. So Voronezh is here. In the north of Voronezh, we have the Milove sector. There is fighting reported at Shuhonivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This is very one-off-ish. So this is just a buffer. I would say just a disturbance for the Ukrainians, to draw their attention to this line here. Away from the main front line, I think the Russians are more interested in, which is along the Voronezh front region at the Oskil River. So fighting is reported at Troivka, Kenyamka, Krasny Pershe, as well as Monashkenivka. There is some frontline changes noted, as mentioned in the frontline changes report. That reminds me, this SITREP will not include any more frontline changes after the frontline changes report. So there is some frontline changes that's appeared since, but it's not in this report because I don't want to waste any more time mapping them in, and then after that, delaying the SITREP even further. So because I will be covering them in the frontline changes report for tomorrow anyway. So that's all from this Voronezh front. Nothing particularly very astounding to me. Like this move here is already a belated frontline change. The mapping is a bit late already, so that doesn't surprise me at all. We go on to the Kupiansk front. This is Kupiansk. At the Kupiansk front, we have the usual fighting reported at Kupiansk, at Petropavlivka. Stepanova-Vasilivka returns, as well as fighting reported at Kolesnikivka. So the Ukrainians claim some captures at Kolesnikivka. So I will zoom this in first. This is mapped by the Russian mapping. They have claimed that the Ukrainians have taken back the full amount of Kolesnikivka, which is kind of funny because other than this little part in the south, Kolesnikivka has always been under Ukrainian control in our DPA's mapping. And then it's kind of shocking to see on Twitter the pro-Ukrainian channels starting to celebrate. Oh, they have captured Kolesnikivka. It's like, it has always been under Ukrainian control. What the hell? So yeah, let them celebrate. But people who watch DPA knows that Kolesnikivka has been forever under Ukrainian control. The Russians did manage to capture maybe half or something, but then they were kicked back long time ago. So yeah, so that is the funny thing. Again, very similar things happening over in Moskovka. So this is Moskovka, by the way. Moskovka, Kupiansk is over here. So this is northwest of Kupiansk. And we have a geolocation of Ukrainian forces here. And then they expanded the zone of control. Then yesterday, the Russian mapping, Russian geolocation shows that the Russian forces is at the junction again, which overlaps and overtakes the Ukrainian captures. And this geolocation is very unique because it was noted by the Russian troops that the Ukrainian footage was 2 months old, and then they deliberately on the 1st of September did this geolocation again to show their presence at Moskovka. So pick your poison, because the Russians could also lie about it, but the Ukrainians could also lie about it. So my opinion, I think the case where the Ukrainians actually use old footage is rather strong, but it doesn't matter to me. If any forces want to claim some capture, you can leave it like 1 year from now. I will still take it. I will still put it into the map. Whether I'll change the front line remains to be seen. Depend on how far you are in the front line. So anyway, that's it from the Kupiansk front. We go on to the next front line, the Borova front. So at the Borova front, this is Borova. Russian forces attacked Nova Krylyakivka, Nova Platonivka, Bereska Andrievka, Novosahiyevka, and shellings reported at Vishev Solone. So that's the Borova front. This 2-day report 2 days report. So just in case. So it does important to say this because a few more arrows might look like as if there's some big things happening, but it's not. Over in the Oskil Liman front, we have fighting reported at Rakivka, Kapivka, or Karpivka, Sendriholove, Drobisheve, Kloziazi, as well as Zarishny. So not much things is happening. I would say the main points are still being fought over. So yeah, not much things to report on. Over in the Liman Siversk front, at the Liman Siversk front, we have some interesting developments. So finding report at Toske, Yampil, Dibrova, Serbiansky Forest, within the Serbiansky Forestry, towards Serbianka and Hrihorivka. Serbianka and Hrihorivka itself is being fought over. Fighting reported at Dibrova, Siversk, Vimka, Brezhne, Pazeno, Fedorivka, and the Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of Fedorivka. So this is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry yesterday. They announced the capture. So that is an interesting development. And you can see very heavy fighting within the forest region and the north of the Siversk front. So this is still the main offensive operations happening from the Russian side, but the step up in the operations in the south has become very it piqued my interest, put it that way. So if you zoom in this sector here, the Russians claim the capture of Fedorivka, Brezhne starting to fight again, and Pazeno, there is fighting being reported on both days. This is a very unusual place, which means that there is a case where the Russians may have captured Fedorivka for real, and then from there they can attack Pazeno, and Vasilkivka is also being attacked, which is part of the Bakhmut front, which I should maybe cut it off into the Siversk front, maybe, but this is part of the same operation, the AO area of operation. So this is it's currently happening. So something is happening somehow in the south of Siversk. So something to really take note of. In the Bakhmut front, so this is Bakhmut. This is Bakhmut. At the Bakhmut front, we have shelling reported at Konstantinivka. There is also Zaporizhzhia being mentioned. Zaporizhzhia being mentioned. This is very off the beat, very far away. I'm not sure why I say off the beat today twice, but there is. So Vasilkivka, as mentioned just now, Fedorivka, Pazeno, the capture. So this is the part of the Siversk front. Fighting is reported at Minkivka. This is also very interesting because the Russian and Ukrainians both mentioned it the day before. So something must be happening in this sector here as well. Markove is also being fought over, mentioned only by the Russians. There is fighting reported at Chasivya, Mykolaiivka, Stupovsky, and Proteshny. So the Bakhmut front, getting a little bit spicy, but tentatively, I think the main action is still within the Siversk front, Liman front region. So we will just continue to monitor. This is a very difficult front line. There's a lot of fortifications. Very, very not recommended to clash into this war. Unless you are pro-Ukrainian, then you will encourage the Russians to do it. So over in the Torex front. So this is Torex city. At the Torex front, we have fighting reported at Bilhora, Ivanopilia, Nelipivka, Pleshievka, Notorex, Skibinivka, and Yablunivka. So very routine. If you ask me, it's very routine. No more developments being noted so far regarding this choke point. And there is no fighting reported at Alexandro Kalinove or Katerinivka or Klebanbik, which means the Ukrainians may be very, very pushed out. They might actually really have only something like this, like a tail of some sort, or a very limp appendage, hanging around here, whereas this part might all be under Russian control. That is very possible because of the lack of fighting being reported here, and it's been like some time. Katerinivka, the last was on the 31st. Alexandro Kalinove is on the 26th. Klebanbik is on the 29th. It's like other than Katerinivka, it looks like all is getting a bit further and further away into history. So, and then there, in the south of Konstantinivka, there is a FPV drone strike on the Ukrainian armored vehicle. So that's all. We move on to the Evil Rabbit, the Pokrov breakout zone in the north of Minohrad. So in this breakout zone, there is no reports in the breakout zone, in the question mark zone. The fighting is, however, reported at Rusinya, Potavka, Popivka, Volodymyrivka, Mayak, Nové Chakove, Vilny, Nikanorivka, Bilitsky, Rodinsky, Shovony Liman, Novoekonomichny. So this is the sector here. There is some kind of strengthening of the front line at Potavka, with the Russians seemingly having a lot more control in this sector, which is pretty expected because there's an impossible salient. So the fighting at Vilny is reported by the Ukrainians. So this is so far the furthest point. Previously, it is at Zoloty Kolosias. So there is definitely some kind of push in this direction. It is super weird if the Russians have some positions around here. Why there is no fighting in this sector here? Like, why there's no fighting here? It's super weird. Yeah, and why the Ukrainians are not counter-attacking from this direction as well. Like, no fighting at this sector is just unusual. So let's see. And unless the front line indeed is just like this, which is still very weird. It's still, nothing makes too much sense here, unless we want to believe some very pro-Ukrainian perspective, which is not entirely wrong. The front line indeed is stuck here. The question mark is this part. This area here is the question mark. So Russian forces, it is probably this. But let's see. Over in the Pokrov Minohrad zone. So let's zoom in. So I mentioned just now, Novoekonomichny, there is some fighting. Ukrainians are geolocated in the south of Novoekonomichny. So there's some counterattack here. There's some claims of Ukrainians have captured the whole of Novoekonomichny. I have my doubts. Fighting is reported at Marolyubivka, Balahan, Minohrad, Shovony Liman in the north, Promin, Lysivka, Novopalivka, Pokrov, Vivrove, as well as Kotliny. So that is the main gist of the actions around the Twin City. The main action is mainly over on the east of Minohrad, where the Ukrainians are doing this counter-offensive operation into Novoekonomichny. Otherwise, the rest of the front line is pretty static. These are all static lines. So there is still no much developments inside of Pokrov. As I have previously alluded, is probably just DRG operations, although the Ukrainian positions inside is a mess. I don't think they have full control of the Pokrov city. Things are probably very messy right now inside. Over in the west of Pokrov front, we have fighting reported at Udashny, Molodetsky, as well as Muravka. Otherwise, that's all. Nothing particularly special about these fighting areas. We go on to the Komar front. This Komar. At the Komar front, we have fighting reported at Novoukrenka, Dashny, Filia, Ivanivka, Novohatsky, Zelenihai, Tolstoy, Iskra of Andrievka Kletsove, Pivdobny, Myrny, Peredbodova, which is interesting. That means the gray zone is still being enforced by the Ukrainian side. These are Ukrainian report. Myrny and Peredbodova is by the Ukrainians. Alexandrov, Voskresenka, Vishneve, Melievka, Shevchenko, Komizhuvaha, Vorony, Novoselivka, and Ternova. Ternova is a new one. We have never noted fighting in this sector. This is the first one by the Russian Defense Ministry, because Russians have captured Novohievka, so attack at Ternova is not a surprise. Previously, we only have noted shelling, and the last shelling was in August. So Ternova's fighting is the first time being reported, and the Russian forces have closed off the salient at Komizhuvaha. And yeah, this is also a super massive front line. As you can see, how is there no real fighting so near to Koma? So And yeah, and you can see the front line here. There's Tolstoy, but there's also Iskra. There is Novograd, but yet there's Ivanivka. This is all over the place. That means the Russians have overrun certain positions or flanked certain positions. Ukrainian forces are left behind, but there's still supply route. Maybe resupply via drones all over the place. It's in the mess. So always take a pinch of salt regarding the fighting in this area. But the number of arrows just shows the how fierce the fighting in this sector here is, as the Ukrainians are reluctant to let the Russians penetrate deep into the Dnipro-Petrov, nor allow the Russians to fully secure the rest of Donetsk region in this sector here. Again, I have to say Velika Novosilka is very far away. Sometimes I just cannot believe how far it is. And we go on to the Zaporizhia front. So this is Zaporizhia, and over the Zaporizhia front, we have, let me see. So this is the Huyaipole sector, Orikhiv sector, and the Kayamsky sector. Fighting is reported at Ohivsky, Petovka, Dorozyanka. These are all the Huyaipole sector ones. Below here, yeah. And there is some frontline movement, new geolocation for creating a big frontline change at Novodanilivka. So this is at the Orikhiv sector, and the Russians continue to push along the lake or the river, the Dnipro River, as I said that they will, fighting at Plavny as well as Stepnohursk. So this, you can see this entire front line is just a massive stretching operation. The only real push tentatively, I would say, is along this eastern and the western end. This is the two main push. All the rest in the center, I think, is just very diversionary. However, the frontline change at Novodanilivka is pretty shocking, because the Russians has basically taken almost they almost reached the initial line where they were established in 2022, where it was actually here. This was where the Russians were. This was the front line, the first line of defense, where the Ukrainians launched the 2023 counteroffensive. So the Russians has basically negated most of the Ukrainians' capture, it seems. And then we move on to the last front line, the Kherson front, or the Kherson front. So I want to wish you who is having a happy birthday. If you are not, I don't wish you a happy birthday, but you should be happy. And anyway, press the like button, subscribe. I will push more reports, Ukraine war reports, into the DPA war channel, and probably all. I shall see how this goes, but because I need to revive the DPA war channel, as I want to, since we have crossed the 100,000, I have achieved the initial goal. So I want to do more geopolitical reporting on the main channel. So yeah, so of course that would mean the Ukraine war videos will have to go to the war channel. But I think the frontline changes will still be in the main channel. I think the SITREP will go to the war channel. So since the war fans go to the war channel, makes perfect sense. So Kherson front. Shelling is reported at Mihailivka, very far away, not important, super far away. So over in the front line here, along Kherson, this is a bit weird. Okay, so I want to talk about shelling first. Bilozerka, Antonivka, Sadove, Tyahinka, Lovove, as well as what is this place? Odorado Kanyamka. So these are all the shelling reports. And then we have the fighting reports. The fighting reports, we have the usual. On the 1st of September, it was just a Dnipro direction attack being reported. However, in yesterday's report, they mentioned Antonivka. I wonder if the Russians actually crossed the river, across the Antonovsky Bridge to attack Antonivka itself. So this is a bit of a question mark. Why is there a report like this? So just to take note, but I don't think the Russians crossed the river. If you cross the river only at one point, you're going to die. Everyone is just on a suicide mission. So a proper amphibious assault will be across the entire front line to confuse the enemies, the defenders, as to where is the main push is. You cannot let the enemy know where the main thrust is coming. So everywhere is going to be attacked, and then there will be a main thrust. So that's also the reason why the Ukrainian crossing failed. Over in the Krinky region, which is because it's just a 1-point attack. The Russians can just zero down on that place. So anyway, that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 1286 to 1287 for the 1st to 2nd of September. So thank you for watching. The 100,000 is an achievement by all of us. Is your achievement as well, because we are all DPA army. Me, I'm just one person. Together then we are DPA. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next update.